Peace petals, welcome back to another video. It's your girl Indigo Black. You can see my locks coming through. I've had this style for like a solid month and it's been doing well. I'm honestly surprised that they're still hanging on. You know, they don't look as fresh as they were, but they still don't look as bad as I feel like they would if I just had my hair done instead of having locks. Like, this is the worst it gets, right? Not bad. Anyway, not the point of this video. So I did a video a while back talking about to share or not to share, what to do with knowledge, and I've been on the brink of, you know, my own realizations of whether or not I share the knowledge I have or if I'm more of a self-appliance kind of gal. Because I've had my share of, you know, offering services of tarot, of divination, of creating videos and content, of giving little nuggets of knowledge while simultaneously coming to realization of my own thing. You know, I'm not a lecturer, but I do talk a lot. So I figured this is something that I could share, and you know, it's definitely part of stepping out of my comfort zone as far as the information that I know, because everyone has their own voice and their own view, and there's still a lot for me to learn. So this is all just coming from the point of what I've learned, and there are so many different pantheons and schools of thought and belief systems. This is just a very small, basic, limited view of not only what I know, but also what is out there and the things that you can come into on this path and on this journey. And today I wanted to tangent a little bit from that numerology video I showed you, because it's going to be very important with this topic that I'm talking about, which is astrology, specifically understanding your birth natal chart. This is more of a mini crash course of just the structure of the chart itself, and I may go into some of the glyphs for the signs of the zodiac. Now, I'm doing this based off of the basic 12. This is more of a video for someone who's never heard of it before, doesn't know what a birth chart is, what the zodiac is outside of maybe their horoscope and knowing what their birthday is, or when their birthday is and what their zodiac sign correlates to as far as the sun sign. And I'll go into those more. I'll create a series of this, going through the signs, going through the planets, going through the different schools of thoughts, etc., just to have an exposure. And I'm not an astrologer. I'm not, you know, I haven't been doing this for very long, but I am pretty well versed in it, and I can point you to someone who does know and is beast at their shit. So yeah, with numerology, so with everything being based into a frequential code, meaning numbers, since numbers are some of the basics, I mean, we learn them when we're very tiny, because it becomes part of our everyday life, whether subconsciously or not. The time, the date, you know, literally coding, it's into every system that we use. The way right now this timer is counting down as I'm recording this, you know, the structure and the input and the data of this technology we're using is only mirroring our own technology within ourselves. And even we have millions and trillions of cells, 2 hearts. I mean, well, maybe some of us have 2 hearts, 2 lungs, a heart. And I mean, we do have 2 hearts, because we have the physical heart and then we have the spiritual heart, the heart chakra, the energy center for those things. So it does apply, or it can apply. And I just wanted to show how the understanding of numbers, aside from that, the daily life, outside of your life path, corresponds to your charts. Because as you get deeper into astrology, you start to see the aspects and the degrees and how each energy plays with each other. So this is a math and a science. It's not just I intuitively think these things and it's a stereotype about this sign and what I think and feel and just what I know and what I researched. That comes into play, of course. What you get downloaded from your source, from your soul, is also very essential. However, at a physical level, at the peak of the physical level, there also is proof from the logical left-sided part that you can integrate with your spirit to get really profound knowledge. And it becomes predictive and highly accurate outside of a lot of ego-based tendencies. And, you know, like I said, so many ways of seeing this or viewing this. So, what is required to have access to your natal chart? What is a natal chart? Basically, it's a screenshot of your energy signature at the time of birth based on the alignments of the planets, the time, your location on the earth itself, and the corresponding elements and signs, degrees, etc. So, how do you calculate this? With the advent of the internet, it's so easy. You can go, one of my favorites that I recommend is astrodeans.com. There's so many sites that you can go to for your natal chart. I'm going to be covering the tropical, quote-unquote, Western chart because it is accurate as far as it being more of a local form of astrology, meaning that I live in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's going to have a little bit more bias as far as calculating where it is that I live. That's what I like about 12 sign, because it's based on, and it's more limited to your geography, as where a lot of people who would talk about sidereal, it encompasses astronomy, and the shifts, the pole shifts, and the degrees are shifted off. So we'll go into that a little bit later. Like I said, this is for the basics, but most people have an understanding of the basic 12, which is a great way to start. And later on, you can see that it encompasses 13 and the 12 anyway. It's just a smaller degree number with a few kisses. So you can look it up. I'll put a link for you to get it. I already kind of did a very basic template. So you would go online, astrodeans.com or whatever site you prefer, fill in your name, your date of birth, and your birth time. Now, if you don't have the time of your birth or don't know it, you can insert either 6 a.m. or noon. I recommend noon, because the way that you're aligned, no matter what position you are in globally, it's less likely to change at this time. This is the most neutral time, 6 a.m. to 12 o'clock noon, for you to put in an estimate. And if you do come across your birth time, great, enter it in and see if it makes a difference. But for the most part, this will give you a pretty accurate starting point, right? So, the circle. The circle is what encompasses the energy of being. We are in the circle of life ourselves. We go from life, well, birth, life, the process in between, and death, and the hereafter. And that cycle continues, right? So, because we're in a physical sense, the circle itself is limited, right? It doesn't encompass the next phase or the spiritual elements directly. This shows the body. The circle represents the body itself. It represents our energy, our signature, our vibration, the way that we came into the world as far as the birth chart, because there are many other charts. For example, is a progress chart, so showing you as you grow. So again, astrology is a science. It is a math. It's just like we know math at a basic level, but then there's geometry, there's calculus, etc. So there's so many tiers even in astrology, and just because one prefers the other or feels that it's more superior and more applicable, blah, 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 doesn't negate the other types. What does matter the most, I feel, is the information you get from it and how it boosts your evolution, your personal evolution, your personal growth, your realization of self-knowledge. Okay? So we have this circle, right? Now, in this circle is going to contain all the ways in which you connect with others, your relationship with yourself, the ways that as above so below are reflected through alignments of the planets to this planet or this plane of existence. So you'll hear things like Mercury retrograde and you know, it's like a very basic part of New Age spiritualism that I feel is getting a lot of hype right now, but that actually has a meaning. And these cycles occur, yes, yearly, monthly, however long it takes for the planets to complete their cycles, but they also occur daily, hourly, at the minute. So that can also be reflected here. Again, going to the basics. This is encompassed by the circle. The circle itself is divided into 4 quadrants, okay? Think like a compass, all right? North, south, east, west, as above, so below, everything connects to everything. But these each have houses in them, right? So before I get ahead of myself, I'm going to tell you that this right here represents the horizon, right? So imagine looking at the plane of our eyes and how it's very limited in our perception. If I were to draw, one of my favorite things to draw, let's see if I can do like this. How are my scales? This is an ocean, right? This is the sun peeking out. And this plane is the level that our eyes can see at, right? But when we are closer to the sun, we have a big sun, we have a small sun. Depending on which way we're looking at it, the size seems to change. So I look smaller further away from you, right? But I'm still the same size. Physically, my being, I didn't actually shrink. It's the perception based on your view. And when I'm here, I look much bigger. Same thing with the sun, right? So this essentially is what this kind of does with the horizon. At the horizon, it's showing the movement of the sun itself. This is, I'm drawing it from the west going here, right? West to east. So from here, if this is the horizon, this would be representing east to west and the ways in which the sun cycles itself. So in astrology, in reading your natal chart, we typically start from this point, the leftmost point, and go counterclockwise. Whatever sign is sitting here at the cusp of the house is known as the ascendant or the rising sign, because this is eventually how the sun rises from east to west and to the horizon, right? And so, to write that out, I will put ASC for ascendant, okay? This is considered then the first house, because it is the first part we come across. Now, really, this is the first house cusp. The cusps, to make it simple, are going to be the lines, okay, the intersecting lines that we'll come across. And there will be 12, but I'm just going to start with the basic 4 in this video, or the main. I'm going to talk about the angular houses, okay? And these are very important because they encompass most prominently the aspects of the self and self-accomplishment. So we have the first house, we have the 4th house, we have the 7th house, and we have the 10th house, okay? And regardless of what school of thought you're using in astrology, the houses really don't change. The signs change. So that kind of negates all the other forms of astrology and astronomy they talk about, because the energies itself are still prominent because you're still ruled by the same houses. The only things that change are the signs, and the signs are just archetypes for the way that energies can be expressed. And as you grow along on your journey, you'll realize that when you step into your power and your godlike abilities, none of those things define you anyway. So this is just helping to understand the limitations of your human existence and how you can transcend them. Don't let it become another dogma that rules your life. And so it's, at one level, it's still going to be highly accurate. At another level, you can override these things anyway, and you're going to come to your own perspective. So it doesn't matter if you're even looking at the transits or looking at what's going on inside of you. Once you look inside of yourself, everything changes, regardless. So, 4th house, 7th house, 10th house. The 4th house has its own representation or its own archetype of what it encompasses. The 7th house does, and the 10th house. Now, you heard me mention houses and cusps, right? So, there are 12 zodiac signs. In the calendar year, the Gregorian calendar year, we have 12 months of the year, right? The calendar year and the year based on the astrological points are not the same, although they have similarities because they both have the 12 structures. right? But in your personal natal chart, you start your chart based off of where your ascendant is. So the first house, which is the ascendant, would be in whatever sign it is, right? Making that overall, since it's the first, energy rule your entire chart. Now you'll have aspects, and aspects are basically the way that things interact with each other, which can either add to or take away from the potency of that particular sign, the degree, etc. So in life, you exist among other things, other people, other beings. And so your interactions with them have an impact on you and also have an impact on them. Thus, the energy itself changes. Me and myself in this room is my sun. It's me. It's my personality. It's how I'm aware of myself and my energy. I'm not interacting with anyone else. But how you receive this energy now with me exchanging and how you're perceiving me, perceiving myself, is my ascendant. Because now I'm relating. I'm putting that energy outward. The sun is just the sun itself. The sun is the sun. The ascendant is the way in which the sun moves, right? How it interacts with the other planets, with the other world. So that becomes the rising and the ascendant, if that makes more sense. And then there's your internal world, which is the moon, your emotions, your feelings, what's hidden, right? The moon only comes out at night in the darkness. So that is actually, I feel, the most potent part of you, because it doesn't change regardless of how you express it outwardly or inwardly. Your emotions are how you feel. And sometimes that can translate differently, and it can get quite complex. But those basic three are what you're going to see. So we already had the awareness of what the sun is like at this ascendant point. The moon rules the fourth house. And the seventh house has to do with your relationships, your structures, business, partnership. The 10th house, more so your career, status, personal aspirations, and stuff like that. I'm going to go into that more in another video. I just really want to talk about the chart as it's empty, and then I'll go more into the archetypes and what the houses mean and stuff like that. So, remember I talked about houses and cusps. Cusps are basically going to be the lines. Houses are going to be the spaces, okay, that are filled in. Now, this is based off an equal house natal chart. Meaning, so every house is encompassed with 30 degrees. Every space can take up 30 degrees in certain signs. Now, for example, say a sign is in 23 degrees. So we'll say it's 23 degrees in Pisces. Just act like you know what I'm saying. 23 degrees in Pisces. What's after Pisces in the zodiac is Aries. So that means there's an extra 7 degrees that didn't get used, right? Because every house is encompassed by 30 degrees. So something has to happen with that 7 degrees. It doesn't just disappear. It can it's either part of the Aries section now, which may take up a different house, or it may be a part of the Aquarius section of the house, because that's the sign that's before Pisces. So everything can kind of shift and change, but to make it more simple, we're just going to say that everything has 30 degrees in it, okay? Just so you have the basic structure. So for each house, you have 4 sections, 12 by 4, right? 12 divided by 4 is 3. So we have 1, 2, about halfway, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, back to 1, right? So these represent the houses, just the ticks, or the house cusps, okay? So to make it more simple, I'm going to, or more clear, now this is a very trash natal chart, but we're just pretending it's all even, okay? So this would be 1, second house cusp, third house cusp, fourth house cusp, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? Those are the cusps. As you get into the houses again, it's the spaces. So this here is the first house, what's shaded. The second house. First cusp, first house. Second cusp, second house. Can you see? I know there's a glare. There we go. Third cusp, third house. Fourth cusp, fourth house. All the way through. Right? And then you have degrees maybe. So since there's 30 degrees in each sign, this divides into 3 sections. Remember what I said about as above, so below? So these would just have 10 ticks, 10 ticks, 10 ticks, all the way through. So say it's 10 degrees in a certain sign. It's 10 degrees. Your ascendant is 10 degrees in the first house in the sign of something. That's an example. And multiple things occur in the chart, as I said. So let's say my ascendant is in the sign of Pisces, since I gave that reference before, right? So Pisces is traditionally ruled by Jupiter, but modernly ruled by Neptune. So I can say the ascendant ruler is either Jupiter or Neptune. Most commonly you'll hear Neptune these days. It will be Neptune, and it's at 10 degrees in this space, right? So let's say also I have Neptune in my first house, right? And let's say it is still in the sign of Pisces. So my ascendant is Pisces, making my chart highly influenced by Piscean energy, right, and Neptunian energy. But I also have Neptune in my first house at 10 degrees. There's a glyph for Neptune, right? Neptune, my ascendant sits at Pisces. We'll say it's Pisces there at 10 degrees. Boom. So it means I'll have 10 degrees of that Piscean energy, of that Neptunian energy in my house, and it's going to express itself in a Piscean way. And that's basically the basics of the cusps and the houses as far as Western astrology. If you have any questions, please ask me. I am trying to go very slow in this series because it can get very complex, and it's quite a detailed science and math. So I want to make sure that it's clear, that you understand the difference between houses and cusps. Houses being the spaces that are filled. Cusps meaning the lines and the tips of each section. Now, when you go and you look into your natal chart online, you will have it say the ascendant will be 1, then 2, 3, 4. You'll have a list written out of 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12. What that is showing you are the house cusps and their rulers. Okay, it's showing you the signs and the degrees in there. The degrees are going to show you what fills in the houses, right? So let's say the ascendant is Pisces, right? You'll see Pisces AC or ASC. Then you'll go all the way down, and the 12th house would say you'll see Aries, right? You can usually get a chart that's written fully out. You know, you'll use like Cafe Astrology, whatever. You can get the whole chart written out. Most places are going to skip maybe and show you the first 3, then the next few, because they go in order anyway. And the more complex you get, the deeper you get into astrology, you'll be able to read the actual wheel and see the degrees anyway. So it kind of becomes obsolete needing a chart. But the signs, the zodiac signs, Aries through Pisces, are going to be the cusps that you see, right? So that's going to be what's written out. So you'll see Pisces that represents the cusp. And the cusps pretty much go in order. Some people have unique charts in which they don't go in order, and things kind of switch up a little bit. But again, the basics, they'll go in order. Then the degrees next to that show the houses, so how the cusps are filled in, the spaces in between. All right? And then what happens after that? I'm just making sure when you go, you shouldn't have any more problems with that. That's pretty much it. I mean, if you have any more questions, comment under this video and I'll help you through that. Okay? Thank you for watching. This is Indigo Black. Peace.